Hey everybody, it's Stacy with Pageantry Now, and we are live for our Sunday afternoon interview. Sorry, we had a little bit of a delay. We have having a little bit of technical issues with upgrading, but hopefully you guys can hear me and see me. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. And if you're one of the lucky people to be highlighted, we will bring your question into the show. However, make sure there's my dog. Okay, there you go. And we're live. Um, for those of you that are not familiar with Pageantry Now, we're all about positivity and pageantry and being able to highlight the amazing things title holders are doing using a crown and a sash around the world, or around their world, to change their world. So we have Rosanne Plante on. She's going to be on in just a second. But just again, if you are going to ask comments, please make sure you keep them PG-13 because we do have teenagers that are watching. And if you haven't already, please like our page at Facebook. Follow us on Instagram, and make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. And I think that's all the stuff. So let's see if we can get this to work. And here we go. All right, I can see you. I know there's people watching. All right, we're good. We're live. Let's go. Introduce yourself, my love.
I am Rosanne Plante, and I am the current reigning Mrs. Midwest Agriculture 2020, and an old dear friend of yours.
An old dear friend. Well, you've been a friend on the show and a crownie for quite a while. So it's been what, 2 years, 3 years now?
From the beginning, 2016. So it's going on 4 years.
Wow. Like because we started. Our first show was the beginning of January of 2016. So yeah, like you've been following since the beginning?
I have, actually. And you were new to the podcast, but I was new to pageantry. So I'm a lawyer by trade, and I research. And so anybody who offers, advice, and you had so much experience and knowledge, and I just soaked it up. So no, I've been following you longer than you know. I just like stalking anybody who could help me. So
well, and you've come so far, and you've had so many amazing things, and I'm so happy to hear that, because that's part of, the idea of this was to try to hopefully offer people an opportunity to be able to share their stories. You've got an amazing story, and your reason for getting into pageantry, I think, is pretty significant. So let's talk a little bit about that, and then I'm so glad we helped you, because now you've had national and international titles, so that's pretty awesome.
I'm a late bloomer, and I always wanted to do the Miss America system when I was, a teenager in college. But I'm from Northwest Iowa, and there just isn't all of the pageants, even all the locals, were on the other side of the state. And I had a single parent mom, and we didn't have extra money for that. So I did some local pageants and won a few local, festival titles. I was Sioux City Relays Queen 1990, which now sounds like in a different century. Well, it was actually. And I went to law school, and I thought that dream was over. And then fast forward many, many years, and I was a married lady later in life, and somebody.
We're lagging. Oh no, come back to me. Okay.
Yep, I actually got a letter from them encouraging me to try out for Mrs. Iowa, and I thought they were crazy, and I threw it in the garbage, I'll be honest. And my husband was pretty mad, and so I got another one, and he said, I think you should fill it out. And it was very sweet. He said, I married you because you were a pretty big deal, and now I think you should go out and show other people. So how can you not fill it out when your darling, newlywed husband says that? So we did. I filled it out. I had the interviews, and before I knew it, I was Mrs. Iowa, and I was thrust into the pageant world. And I learned as much as quickly as I possibly could. My platform was gardening. I'm an Iowa Master Gardener, and recently became credentialed as a Master Conservationist. And yes, and we have an acreage, and I had spoken all over. People nominated me because I did garden education all over the state of Iowa as a master gardener. So I wanted gardening to be my platform. I knew that right away, but I learned from researching that if you have a platform and a project, you do better in interview.
True.
And so, so one night at dinner, I said to my husband, I think I need a project. And he said, well, we grew all this food the previous season, and it all grew. We didn't think it would. We donated over 1,000 pounds to our local gospel mission soup kitchen. And he said, why don't you do that all over the state? And over one dinner, we created it, named it the Green Ambassadors, made up a little symbol of a frog that's special to me. And I set the goal of recruiting 99 people to represent the 99 counties in Iowa to encourage them to grow food. You can have a plant on the deck if you're elderly. You can have a whole plot like we do, a whole acre. But it was meant to be inclusive of people so that anybody could participate. We find local pantries and places that need the food. We just have them deliver it, track how much they contribute, and then I have a network. So I was the first person ever in Mrs. International history to have gardening as her platform. And it was funny when I got to nationals. They said, "Oh, you're the garden lady," and so I was like, "Oh, well, then all of my outreach must have taken because everybody knew I was the garden lady." And fortunately, unfortunately, as you know, and your viewers may not, and during my year as Mrs. Iowa, my husband did go to work on November 15 of 2016, and a bus ran a light and struck his Chevy Tahoe, and I almost lost him. He had two completely shattered legs and a traumatic brain injury. And they actually told me that he would pass away. And if he lived through the first night, that I wouldn't want him to. And I refused to accept that. I got a second opinion. And things were very grave for a very long time. And we are blessed that it is 3+ years. He is home. He has surpassed every expectation that they ever gave me. He is truly the one in a million. He's not perfect. It's not ever going to be exactly the same way it was. But you know what I've come to discover is life ever really exactly how you think, or it doesn't stay. So people say, well, he's not exactly back to where he was. And I like to say to people, well, I don't think we're the same as we were 3 years ago.
No.
So I view it as a huge blessing in the fact that I appreciate life, him, every single day. I posted a picture on Facebook of him shoveling, and I said, nobody complain about shoveling. 3 years ago, my husband was learning to walk, and now he can go shovel. That was a big deal, and I think so many of us get caught up. So what happened was during his recovery, I was fulfilling my title, and I decided to add a plank to my platform, which really was the occupational therapist came to me and said, what can we do to motivate Chad? Because therapy is very monotonous. And because of that, we used gardening as therapy. We built a wheelchair accessible garden at one of the brain rehab centers in Omaha, Nebraska. Since then, we've put together a gardening as therapy OT program. We created that with a local college here in Sioux City, Briarcliff University's physical therapy program. We talk about it all over the state. He goes with me to appearances. People want to meet the miracle. I call him the miracle man.
Yes.
And so now my platform is truly gardening to feed people and gardening to heal people. And so we're very passionate about it. We'll always talk about it if I have a crown and sash or not, because gardening is truly healthy on so many levels, and now it can save and rehabilitate people.
Well, and I think that, the story you have is so absolutely phenomenal. And I say often people get involved in pageantry because they have a story. In your particular case, you got involved because it was something you wanted to do, and then you happened to be in the midst of this where everything changed for you. And the fact that Chad is walking now, right? I mean, he still has a wheelchair, but he's walking and doing things.
Oh, the wheelchair's gone. He drives, he walks. Long distances are still a challenge. We're going on trips. We went to Disney. We went to Disney World. We were in Florida in December for our Tiaras of Hope conference. It's another group, it's not really pageant related, but it's a lot of pageant title holders. People think I'm crazy. You took this man to Disney World. Well, we didn't walk all over like maybe some people,
right.
But he has to divide his time or his energy up. But every day he's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And last year he couldn't have picked up the shovel with two hands because his left arm was drawn up and you couldn't even pull it down. 3 years ago, and now he's using it. And so the more he does, the more better he'll get. And pageantry really, it was therapy for me. The caregivers oftentimes fall into depression, and so I used it as therapy for me. And I got some backlash from haters saying, why do you have the crown and sash on? Why are you doing appearances? Well, obviously I wasn't doing that many. I was trying to fulfill my contract, but it forced me to not feel sorry for myself, forced me to get up, get dressed, get glammed up, chat. I remember the first time I did an appearance in Lincoln, Nebraska. He was a Madonna rehab. I came in dressed up after the appearance, and everybody loved it, and he loved it. It boosted his spirits, which boosted my spirits. Pageantry helped save us. It really did. And now it tells this amazing story that you should never give up, that doctors are wonderful people, but our family doctor told me, you taught me there is more to medicine than in a book. And, you know, for the few people that said didn't like it, I just ignored it. And it is what it is. And, you know, some people also called me the pageant lawyer and made fun of me. And instead I embraced it. And, you know, there's a lot of law in pageantry and contract law, trademark. Guess what? That's part of my consulting business now. I really am a pageant lawyer, and I embrace it. So when haters come, I embrace it and say, you know, doesn't bother me. Bring it.
But see, and I think that is, you know, Kenzie's on, by the way. Kenzie says, wowzers, freaking wish that life was all the same all the time. She gives you high fives. She says, way to turn a horrendous thing into an amazing thing. And then she says, haters are going to hate, and there's nothing you can do about it. So
that's right. And on my, you know, we still have bad days, and I say to my husband, you can let the monster beat us, or we can beat the monster.
Right.
And we've gone too far now to let it beat us. So, you know, it's not all sunshine and roses, but by gosh, we have those days, and you can have a bad day. Everybody has bad days.
Right.
And then you get up and you keep going. And so I feel you have no choice but to keep going and turn that bad into a good.
Tiff just came on. She says, hello, ladies.
That's
hey,
my
Tiff. How are you? I'm trying to get this to work. It's not working. She says, hi, ladies. So there's Tiffany. We put her in the broadcast. Now she can, you can't see it, but if you go back and you watch it in Facebook, you'll be able to see like the pop-ups. It's a cool program. I know this is a little bit different than what we've had before, but I'm trying to learn how to use it. So anybody that's following us and has followed us for a while, you have known how we've changed and grown. You've been around, Rosanne, for long enough to know how it's all developed and changed. So it's a little bit different to try to get used to, but I like it because then I can actually show your name, show your title, and then talk a little bit. And so when people watch, they know who it is. So anyway, thanks for being here, Tiff. And again, Kenzie and Tiff, anybody else watching, if you've got questions, please ask them in the chat. We do appreciate that, and it makes a lot more fun too, because then Rosanne can talk about the things that are important to you, more about it, so that we can be better informed.
Well, and thanks for having me on. I am jumping to talk about this new system. It's the Agriculture America system. And after Mrs. Iowa, I held 2 titles in the worldwide pageant system, which is where I met my dear friend Tiffany. So thank you so much for being on, Tiffany. She's my sash sister in Tennessee. And she has a new puppy, so I'm a new auntie to her. Aww. To Prince. So we were together in that system, and I was actually going to retire. And
I lost you. You froze. Okay, go ahead.
Can you see me okay?
I can see you. Well, I can hear you, and it froze for a second, so it's okay. Oh, and Tiffany says, I'm so excited for your new title, Rosanne. Princess is also watching.
Oh. So as I say, I was going to retire and just do consulting or pageant law, and then I kept seeing all these pop-ups and all these Facebook posts for Agriculture America, and I was like, what is that? So I reached out to the director, who happened to be also somebody who does a lot of pageant jewelry, and I'd actually bought earrings and modeled for her. And when I reached out to this account, didn't know it was her behind the account. And she's like, Rosanne, it's Shannon. And I was like, of course, because pageantry is a network, as we all know. And so I said, tell me about this. And she said, well, my mother and I have always wanted to start a pageant system. Their family has been in the ranch business it's actually in Northern California in the Basin for over 100 years. And they have just noticed this huge need in America for children to understand where their food comes from. They did a study and they asked the average child in elementary school, where did this apple come from? And they said Walmart or the grocery store. And I've actually witnessed this. People have come to our acreage to pick apples or cherries, and kids say to me, children, oh, that apple grows on a tree. And that's just so foreign to me because I always knew that. And I guess as somebody's grown up in Iowa, but we have to realize people don't understand that. They don't understand the connection between, it's called farm to fork. Right. So because of this educational gap we have with our children, Shannon and her mother decided to merge their two talents, their two loves, their two passions, and create the Mrs. Agriculture America pageant. And they didn't advertise. It completely took off. It's about a year old. We have over 40 title holders from county and city titles up to regional, and I hold the highest title that you can hold at this point. I had several panel interviews and was chosen Mrs. Midwest at the end of the year. And so I'll be traveling all over the Midwest, all over the nation actually, and talking about gardening and education. They're looking for queens that have pageantry experience, but also have some connection to agriculture. So ranching, fair queens, 4-H, FFA. They did not have a master gardener. They did not have somebody from the Midwest. We just all clicked, and I decided not to retire because literally this system is my platform. Right. And so, when we find, we always say pageantry is about niches and finding your system. And I had all this great experience in international and worldwide pageants, but here's my niche. And it was just a click. And so she's including men. She's going to start to get men and boys involved. But we have over 40 title holders. And our first national pageant will be sometime at the very end of this year or at the beginning of 2021. And it will be in California. Cool. So that's what it's about. It's all about pageant holders who have an agriculture interest in addition to the pageantry.
Do you know what the areas of competition are going to be yet?
I believe, actually, interview, of course, and appearances in your community service. And then I do know there'll be gown. And I think right now they're trying to decide, I don't think it'll be swimsuit, but I think it'll be a fun fashion or some sort of business or some sort of outfit to show your personality, and then also possibly talk about if you have a sub, since everybody's platform is agriculture, I think some people they'll have sub platforms like mine would be, right, like the Green Ambassadors. So maybe something that relates to that. So right now that's what we've been told.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Kenzie says she's 18 now, but she says she doesn't think she realized that food comes from other things besides the store until she was in 3rd or 4th grade, and she lives in the Midwest. So, yeah. Oh, and she's asking you a question. You ready? Here's her hard questions. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Which is always great to be able to have the hard questions. Thanks, Kenzie. We appreciate it. So, if you were elected president, what would be your first action that you would take in office, and why?
Well, that's so timely because, as you all know, we're days away from the Iowa caucus.
Yes, we are.
And we are, and it's a big deal, and the whole nation, the whole world is watching Iowa right now. And I can tell you that I have chosen a candidate to caucus for and become very engaged in his campaign. I guess you know by the pronoun that it's one of the gentlemen, but that I'm a precinct leader. I'm a hostess. I'm staging caucus goers, so they come to my house. I train them on how to teach about the caucus, and they go out and talk to people, and then I'll be making the pitch, so to speak, at our local caucus. So I am the headquarters for this candidate. So, and I have political aspirations, and so I think the very first thing, if I was ever elected president, would be that I would interview, and I would actually do this after I was elected but I guess I would say to Kenzie, this would be after I was elected, but before I took office. I would put together the most amazing, not only transitional team, but cabinet. And obviously, I think a great quality of a leader, a good leader, is to know when you don't know everything. Nobody can possibly know everything. And so
Sorry.
I think you.
Thank you.
I think what you need to do is find out your strengths and find out your weaknesses. And in those areas, like for me, I have not served in the military. I have a lot of respect, and I appreciate and I value everybody who's served in our military. I have not. That was not something I did. I don't know what it's like to put your boot on the ground in Afghanistan or the Mideast where we have trouble. So I would make sure that I had an amazing Secretary of Defense, an amazing Secretary of State, people that can, the best of the best, who can advise me and tell me what I need to know. So that would be my very first thing after elected, before sworn in, put the book together the most knowledgeable, amazing, ethical cabinet that I could.
Oh my goodness. See now, like I'm afraid. Okay. That and honestly, that was great. And I agree. Like everybody always thinks, like, what one thing could you do? But if you don't have people to help you make the hard decisions, uh, and to tell you, I mean, to tell you really what's really going on, uh, it makes it really hard for you as one person. I mean, just like we say in pageantry, a great title holder. It
It
takes
takes a team.
it takes a village.
Yeah,
Takes a
it
village.
does.
Just like it
It
takes
does.
to raise a child. It to be for
Mm-hmm.
all of the things we do, we can't do them alone. We really do them as a team best. And when we try to be one
Mm-hmm.
person making decisions, it makes it very, very hard. So there you go. Choose the knowledge of others to assist you in your domain.
That's right. And I've actually been, I actually have political aspirations, not the White House, but maybe one thing that's new, and I have found pageantry has been very helpful, is I'm a registered lobbyist, and I've started lobbying, and I will be making several trips to the Iowa State House, and I'm doing some work to change antiquated family laws in Iowa that I have personally witnessed do not serve our parents and is clogging up our court system. So instead of sitting here and griping and telling clients, well, sorry, I can't do anything, I found a group and we have clicked, and I am one of their official lobbyists, and we are going to Des Moines to tell the legislators this is tearing at the fabric of Iowa families. So I really do feel drawn toward politics still.
All right. So then you are not uncomfortable with speaking about politics. Yes? No.
No, not. No, no.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
I don't, because I don't. Although we don't usually get political, but I'll tell you what. Friday night we got political here. It went down. I was like, we spoke to Miss Montana, Miss Montana USA, who is vegan and is having huge pushback from her state because they are very agriculturally based, which I understand. But she is really talking about making a better environment, and as we were live, she was getting hate messages.
See, and the reason I chose the candidate that I am endorsing at the Iowa caucus is because he is very much concentrating on the fact that we have divided America with politics, and politics needs to unite America. The more we spend time talking about frivolous things, the less time we're working on the things that we need to strengthen the nation. And so I believe that that's another perfect example of where politics, instead of saying we respect your decision to live your life this way, but yet she's still saying there's ways that we can improve the environment. Instead of saying this is a new person with a different viewpoint, let's bring her into the conversation, they're cutting her out. Right. That is the wrong way to handle it, and politics has gone astray, and that's one of the reasons I've selected the candidate I'm endorsing. He's attempting to bring America together.
Does his first name start with a B?
With the B, it does not.
I'm sorry. In our household, everything is politics, and Michael is. Michael is very political, which I appreciate, and we align in some of our ideas, but some of them I'm just like, dude, just please stop. Like, I don't want to hear about it. And we both run for office, so we both have. I don't have any political ideologies as far as like running or being in office now that I've figured out how difficult it is.
It's very difficult.
because it really opens yourself up to so much criticism. And I mean, I guess pageantry kind of enables you to be better able to deal with that. Uh,
It it does, and it helps with the diplomacy, and it helps with meeting people and developing those skills. And I tell people there's a lot of similarities between pageants and politics. There really is.
it really is, and I mean, I think that was what happened with me, in Texas. It, to me, it was very hard being in Texas, and I mean, I will tell everybody I'm a Democrat, but I was out as a younger person. I was part of the Young Republicans and really supported Republican values, and then the things that happened to me made my whole ideological streamline change because here I was, and then Rosanne, with dealing with Medicaid, Medicare, the health
Oh,
system in the United States, it's bananas. And at 30, I got hit right in the forehead with all of this crazy stuff. To think that if I had not have had insurance when I was diagnosed with my first cancer, that first year of treatments 23 years ago would have been $1 million.
right, right.
That's absurd. There is no reason for people to not be able to have their basic needs taken care of. And then I'm very strong on education. So, I mean, but I think you have to pick the ideologies that work best for you. And I'm just going to say that I don't think there's one perfect candidate right now. I think there's a lot of people that could work really well together, and they have to be able to find a way to be able to do that.
I
Um,
agree. I
we,
agree.
we, we can't be polarized anymore, and that's the biggest challenge. Is right now everybody's at one side of the spectrum, holding their breath, waiting for the next person to give up, and that is getting us nowhere. So
That's true. It's true.
Kenzie put, politics
Question.
hurts my brain. I agree. All right. So what kinds of things are going on with you? Like, I know as an attorney, you're super, super busy. So how do you find time to be able to have your title, make appearances, be an advocate for yourself, for your husband, and be an attorney and still have normal life if normal life exists?
Well, I think normal life for us is busy. I feel that busy is better, and my husband and I thrive on it. And he actually, now that he is disabled and he doesn't work, that's very hard for him. And so, being busy around the acreage and assisting me and going out to different events is really therapy as well. So, I'm a master of time management. I always have been, and I work from home currently, and so but we're in my office right now, and when it's time to go to work, it's time to go to work, and I have my priorities. It's not like I'm running in and out, in and out. When I'm working. I do family law, so I do work around the clock sometimes. It's just the nature of the business, and I try to put boundaries down with my clients so that I can have family time with Chad. And then actually, I feel that my lobbyist work, which is volunteer at this point, and my pageantry and my community service, I consider that part of the work of my heart. So, if I'm going to make an appearance and be gone out of the office, so to speak, for a half a day at an event, I'll probably work Saturday morning, or I'll work into the evening. I'm a night owl, and so I do well writing my briefs and my motions in the evening. Our court system, you can file 24 hours a day, and I've been known to file things at 3 in the morning. So, it's about priorities and time management and balance. And one thing I've learned, and it's one of my, I don't want to say New Year's resolutions because I started before New Year's, is to do less. I know this sounds crazy. Do less that's not significant, and learn to say no. So I value my time as much. We spend a lot of time worried about money and valuing our money. And I believe time is more important than money. And so I'm very particular about where I spend my time now. Because obviously, if you spend your time one place, you can't spend it somebody else. Just like if you spend your money at this store, you can't spend it here. And so I've worked very hard to streamline and say no to what I think is things that don't bring me joy.
Right. And I think that kind of comes with time and I don't want to say time and maturity. I mean, I know like for Mike and I, that's really been the goal. You know, when I had I had my accident 8 years ago, and I met him shortly thereafter. Excuse me, sorry. And I didn't know how to manage my time from that perspective. I had always scheduled my pageant life and my work life, and it seemed to work fine, but I didn't have that balance of time with him. And then it was his idea to come work for me, and when he did, it was like the coolest thing ever because I was disabled. I knew I couldn't keep doing this, and I couldn't find people that I trusted. So now he's my body, and then I handled the business, and we're together all the time. Like it's like you and Chad. You guys are together like all the time.
It is.
Mike and I are together all the time, and it weirds me out when he's not here.
Well, but I do have an announcement. That is, I have also been a professor, a law professor, and I've taught at community college. I've taught paralegal studies, and I am starting a new. I've been recruited and accepted a position at my home school, my alma mater, Morningside College, and I'll be teaching law there in the fall. So I'm excited about going back full. So I will scale back some of the family law, the litigation. I'll still have a consulting business, but I'll go back full time in the classroom, and I'm very excited about that.
Mike's watching. Are you watching from the car, Michael? Oh my gosh.
Or the living room.
He just said, "Here I am. Here I am." So I guess he's going to his parents. I don't know if he stayed here, if he went, because we were having problems. So, anyways, all right, I'm going to ask you, like, because so few people really understand. I know this is totally off of topic for your title, but I really do want to talk a little bit more about the caucus and how the caucus works, because not everybody really understands that in the United States.
Okay, I lost you for just a minute, but would you like to know how the caucus works? Is that what the question was?
Yeah, okay. I think that's good information.
Oh, it really is. Okay, so first of all, I'm really proud to be in Iowa. We really have a lot of opportunity to meet the candidates, like literally meet them. And if you look at my Facebook page in about a week, then you'll know who I'm supporting, because I got a great picture with this person. So you get to shake their hands. They have meet and greets. They come to people's houses in the very beginning. We have this unique opportunity to meet them at the ground level. And so how this works, and a caucus, not all states do it the same. So a lot of people, for instance, in Illinois, they're used to a primary where you go in and you hit a button and you're done.
We have a primary in Florida, so that's why I wanted the caucus to be something. I know what it is, but I don't think a lot of Americans know. So
okay,
there you go.
So it is you know how people say I don't want to vote because what does one vote matter? It matters in a caucus. So literally people get together at schools, churches, sometimes a person's home. So I'm expecting 194 people at my caucus location, which is just up the road at our community center. There will be ideally a person representing each candidate. So I have the very big responsibility of representing this candidate. And I will be there, and I have a super huge button that says precinct leader. And I went ahead and took the liberty of blinging it out, which the campaign thinks it's hysterical, and the candidate saw it. And so in the picture, when I post it, you will see him and my giant button. And he's like, "Did you bling your button out?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, come on." So I think there's probably a market for blinged out campaign wear, but I will be literally the person that will stand up in front of this 191 people. Those are the registered Democrats in our area, and I will give the pitch for my candidate. I am my candidate. And so every single person who's decided to be a precinct captain has this huge responsibility. At that point, the people in the room will literally go to corners. And there are some changes in the rules this year where before you had to have, and there's a lot of caucus math involved. And so you have to have percentages, and to be viable, that's the word, viable, you have to have at least so many percentage. And it used to be if you didn't meet it, then we would say to people, "Okay, well, try again." And it was kind of like musical chairs, and maybe somebody would go.
That's what I heard. So they changed it now, so it's percentage?
Well, no, I'll tell you. So in the old days, if somebody didn't have a viable number, we'd say, play the music, and everybody'd run around. And then sometimes all of a sudden you'd have this huge switch in power. Well, this year we're only having two rounds, which means if somebody is viable and if you go over there and they're inviolable, then you're there. You don't get to leave. Where in the old days walk across. So those people are captured. And if we have a group of undecided voters and that group is big enough to meet the viability test, those people are out. Like, we can't have them.
But can't you like, I mean, I might be misunderstanding it, because I was under the understanding that during that time where people are shifting to find who is going to be viable, it is the responsibility of the person that is speaking on behalf of the candidate they represent to try to encourage them to come to your corner.
Yeah. So nope. Yep, you understand that. So before the first viability test, we'll line everybody up in this room and we'll all give our stump speeches, so to speak. And we'll say why you should vote for candidate A, B, C, D, E. Then everybody will go to that. And then at that point, hopefully you have enough to be viable. Then you've got groups that aren't viable. And that's exactly what I will do, is I will go over to those people and I will say, I'm sorry your candidate didn't make the cut. See, pageantry and politics kind of the same.
That is exactly it. We've gone from top 10 to top 5. So who would you like to vote for now? Pick the one you like the best.
That's right. And I will go over and do my best lawyering persuasion, talk, and try to draw those people. And then there will be another vote, and people from those non-viable groups will go to other groups. And at that point, we're done. And at that point, based on how many people, and I won't get into all the caucus math because it is a little bit tricky, but it will be you'll take that number divided by how many people actually showed up. There'll be a percentage. That percentage is then rounded up. If you have a certain percentage, then you capture a delegate. My location has 4 delegates.
I was just going to say, how many do you have? Because I know that there were 10 going into it.
Yes. Well, no, 4 delegates. Now the delegates, okay, is you could have 2 candidate A, 1 B, 1 C. Somebody could capture all of them. And then that's what we report in. And that's how somebody wins a district, is you want to capture as many delegates as possible.
Got it.
So, and this is where the one person makes a difference. How the caucus math works is if something rounds up and how it can absolutely be that 1 or 2 people can make the difference between 1 delegate or 2. Because of how percentages and how they work. So every single person really does count huge in this system. Then those four delegates, I'll report in, 2 for candidate A, B, C, and then all over the state of Iowa this will happen, and that will be the results you'll see nationwide. This is the percentage. This many people voted for candidate A, B, C, or D. So it really is your vote does not count. There's no time it counts more than at the caucus level.
Right.
It really. And then we will have how many delegates you have. Let's say my guy gets all 4 because he's gonna, okay, because I'm on his team. Then we pick 4 lucky people from the room that get to go to the county convention. And then there'll be, like pageantry, there'll be another cut, and certain people will go to the state convention as delegates. And then some of those people, there'll be 4 or 5 chosen to go to the national convention, which is like the Super Bowl of politics.
Right.
Okay, I'm a little geeky in the fact that I spent a summer in D.C. and I know about this, and I do love politics. I worship George Stephanopoulos. I mean, I'm a little strange. So I know all these things that probably most people don't care about. But to get to go to a national,
it's a big deal. Yeah.
It's a big deal. It's like a national pageant.
Going to Miss America. So hello.
Politics and pageants.
Or half of Miss America.
That's right. So that's how it works. It's very important. And so on that cold, hopefully not too cold, February evening, we can, and Iowa traditionally has been known to pick a winner. And so this is the first testing ground. And the people we pick oftentimes go on to be the next president of the United States.
Oh my goodness. Like, and well, and I think, and that's the thing is, like for us in Florida, like I said, we're just a preliminary state. So we go in, we push a button, we're done, that's it. It's not even push a button, it's still checking it off in the boxes. Ugh. It's
We
all
get the
it's kind
we
of
never get
antiquated though in a lot of ways, don't you think?
our system.
Yeah.
It is, but
American system, just the whole I sorry.
I love the caucus system because you get to talk to each other about the candidate.
Right.
You get to have discussions. You get to educate your neighbors about it. You get to see, what does neighbor Joe really think? And and I'm also has some psychology training, so it's really interesting to see how people think about candidates. If do they have good information? Do they have bad information? Can they be persuaded? Do they have prejudices? All of those things. So I love our system. I love that we get all this attention because the morning after everybody's in New Hampshire and the party's over. But up till now, I love the fact that they're crisscrossing the state of Iowa and we get to see so much of the candidates.
I mean, that's really cool. I wish that we're typically a Republican state, so, well, historically we have been. But we don't get as much of the delegates at any point really that are really actively here in the state. Even, I mean, there are parts of the state that I'll go to. I'm going to come to Miami because Miami's got a very, very, very big Republican base. So a lot of times we'll get, I remember when President Reagan was running and he was here, and I mean, I've met all of the Bushes, so like, okay. I have yet to meet I've yet to meet anybody that is Democratic, which is really messed up. I only I met Reagan, I've met the Bushes, I've met Trump. Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. Well, stick with me.
Oh my gosh, how did I not even process that information? Like that makes me jealous because we don't get that kind of exposure here in South Florida. Yeah. So I mean, I know Obama drove down my street in front of my house, and the Secret Service were on the street one night when he was coming to an event that was down the street from my house, and so they shut down the entire street, and I'm like, but I live there. And like, ma'am, we need your identification to prove that you live there. And I was like, what's going on? I mean, because I know Secret Service guys, because my first husband was military. So I can see the whole thing going on. And I'm like, okay, here's my ID. Ma'am, you need to get in the house immediately. I'm like, what is going on? And they're like, ma'am, you cannot. He literally walked me to the door of my house and then stood there and waited. And then the limo came by and I went, oh, yeah, President Obama's here. Well, and his campus office for when he was running the first time is here in where I live in Coconut Grove, which was cool, but we never saw him. So anyways.
Well, we have actually offered, we just built a large, beautiful barn, and we have, they actually went out and looked at it. If our guy gets the nomination, Iowa will be a swing state, and he'll need to come back here. And so we're on the short list for venues in the spring and the summer. So I'll be sure to let you know and your listeners if we're going to be on CNN.
That would be so, because I would like, I mean, I know we're about pageantry, but and this is the thing when people ask me this, so what are we going to talk about? I'm like, I don't know. It depends on where the conversation goes. And honestly, I think it's important that people are informed about what's happening in our political climate and to be able to be better informed. And, who better than to hear it from somebody that they know, that they've seen here on the show, and to hear, your opinion on it, because, again, for those of you that know anything about politics, we have a huge problem with the media and the news really dictating what we see and what we hear, and that may not actually be what's really going on in politics. And so it's always wonderful when we have somebody on the show that can not be one of those ways that are leaning one way or another, and to be honest about what their opinions are. So,
well, and as a title holder, I think it's important. What I'm going to put this post up as we get closer, but the post is not going to be I support. It's going to be obvious who I support on caucus night. But my post I've already planned is whoever you support, please go vote. Please be informed.
Yes,
Please do your
please,
research.
please.
Please look at this, and please exercise your right to vote. You know, my grandmother came here on a boat when she was 2 years old from Poland. She could have just waved in. She took the naturalization test. It was very important to her to be an American citizen. She took me to vote. She told me you have to vote. It's your responsibility. It's a privilege. It's been drilled into me since I was a very small child. She threw a party the first year I got to vote for president. I mean, my grandma was a doll, and she was all about being informed and exercising your right to vote. And that's going to be my message. Please, please get out, listen, do your research and go vote. And that's going to be my post.
It really should be that way. And I know that a lot of people think that their vote doesn't count or that their voice isn't being heard. But elections are coming down to being just too close.
Yes, they are.
And we need to have all of those voices and all of those votes to be able to help us get a person that's going to hopefully help all the challenges that we're having. Because I mean, I know we are dying as a country because we are unable to start working together, and if we don't start finding a way to be able to use our best assets together, we're no longer the greatest country in the world. How can we become the greatest country in the world again?
That's right. That's why I wanted to step up and help this candidate. Mm-hmm.
That's cool. For anybody that is watching and you would like to know, the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl, so they will be here in Miami in 2 weeks. So, yes, Kenzie, your team is going to be here. So, congratulations. Now, if we can, well, and my poor husband. My husband is a Seahawks fan, so he's very upset. But the woman that works with us is a 49ers fan, so I've told her if they win, I will figure out a way to get her to the Super Bowl. So, because it's here.
There you go. Very fun.
I don't know how I'm going to do it, but now it's on video. So, all right. So, what else do you want to talk about? Like, do you want to do fun stuff? We've done like, we know you like frogs, so we don't need to ask that one.
That's right. And the reason that frog, it's obviously something you find out in nature, but also it means forever rely on God. And so it's really become part of not only our gardening, but Chad's healing mission as well. So that's the frog thing. And that's why you'll see a lot of frogs on my literature and our symbol and around my home. So
do you know that I got a gift for my sash that was a frog? And so now a sash pin that's a frog. So now I have, yeah, I mean, here.
Which one? I have a little guy right here on mine too. Oh, yeah, look cute. And
and it's wearing a crown. Look at it.
That's very cute. Oh, it is cute. Yes. And I have a little shiny guy.
I like yours. That's so cute.
Little shiny guy on my shoulder. Yep. So yeah, anybody have fun questions or
do you want
to ask me?
Do you want to do this or that and make it fun?
Sure.
Okay. So, do you prefer chocolate or vanilla, and why?
Chocolate.
Why?
Just 'cause it's chocolate, and it's a bean, and that's a vegetable, and I can rationalize anything. I'm a lawyer, so.
Because it's a Oh wait, I forgot that it's a bean. I wonder if I can have it. I'm allergic to legumes. That never occurred to me.
There you go.
Oh, that would be bad. Life without chocolate. Although I like vanilla too. Vanilla is a bean. All right. So, do you prefer makeup or no makeup?
It depends. I mean, I'm like half and half. I mean, my grandma always taught me to be. She was such a lady, and she never went out without makeup and a hat on, even to the grocery store. So I would say at home, no makeup. But when I'm out and about as a professional, I always have some makeup on.
Okay. Mm-hmm. But do you feel best with no makeup on, or do you, I mean, it's just that awkward feeling of not.
I don't mind it either way. I mean, I'll go out without makeup on, but normally when I'm out, I'm doing something either law-related, job-related, pageant-related. And you know, the one time you go and you don't have makeup on, you see somebody you haven't seen in 25 years. So, yeah.
Yeah, yesterday I went to work because, well, yesterday we had a ribbon cutting for the park that we're in. And so I was part of the ribbon cutting, and then we had classes going on. So I came as Pageant Stacy instead of Miss Stacy, and even the parents were going,
Yeah, I know.
Miss Stacy, what did you do? I'm like, I'm wearing makeup and I'm wearing a pantsuit. It's okay. I'm allowed to look like this when I'm not teaching gymnastics. And then what did I do? I went in the classroom and taught gymnastics.
You won't find me with makeup in the garden. I do get dirty and I do dig, and you will not find me glammed up in the garden. No.
But that's, I mean, and you shouldn't. And we were planting plants too. My husband texted me because we were planting a new tropical garden as part of the green space that we were adding to the park. And my husband texted me from class and he goes, "You are not in that pantsuit in the mulch, are you?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am." I put on gloves. I had a rake. I mean, I was like, you know, if I'm going to be there and be part of this, I'm going to be here and be part of it. So, I mean, it wasn't just there to cut a ribbon. I was there to be part of the whole, although it was probably one of my oddest
appearances.
Just like it did not go the way I thought it was going to be. But I mean, a bunch of our gymnastics students went out into the garden and started working the garden too. So it was like it was kind of cool.
That's neat.
It was cool. So, you know, we've got these little 2-year-olds holding rakes and patting down the plants. It was cute. So, all right. So do you prefer, I know the answer to this, but do you prefer interview or evening gown?
Probably interview.
And why?
Because you just get to meet people and see their personalities and see what they're really about. But I do love a good gown, and I'm a big fan of Jonathan Cain. I wore one of his gowns at the Global Beauty Awards and got to meet him, and I have a picture of us. So I do love a good gown, but I do love interview.
I'm so jealous that you got to go to the Global Beauty Awards. I really want to go. Like,
it really was a fantastic time, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, Maureen and David's title holders have been on. I mean, we've had a couple of the others, but they've been on over the last couple weeks, and so I was like, "This is so cool." They're all going, all 8 of them. So they have 8 title holders for USA. So they're all going to be there, and a few of them are presenting. So I'm like, yeah, jealous. Can't you hook a girl up?
I try. Yeah, I could hook you up. And I had never. It was not the normal silhouette I normally use. I'm sort of self-conscious about my hips. And it was kind of a mermaid dress, and I'd always done an A-line or, you know, something different. I tried it on. It was too big. I had a fantastic seamstress who, and it was limited edition. They said, you either take it or you don't get it. So the seamstress said it had to be taken in quite a bit, but she said, I can do that. And then I found out he was nominated and he was going to the Global Beauty Awards. So then I meet this man who's, you know, designed this dress, and I just want to say about Jonathan Cain that he is a truly genuine human being, because it was the first trip that my husband and I took since his accident. My husband went with me. I was nominated for Most Inspirational Story, and the dress is red. You probably have seen pictures of it. Yes. It's red. I love it because it's red, and it has these gorgeous black roses. And of course, I've built my pageant wardrobe around the fact that I have gardening. And so my pageant coach, Troy, really loves it when somebody has a uniform look, either by color or theme. And so it's taken me about 3 years, but I literally have a wardrobe, and every little piece has some floral or has something garden related. So it sticks in your mind when you see me in an appearance or a pageant. So I love the floral. I love that it had a rose because of my name. But I love the red because I thought it was like the phoenix rising from these ashes. And so I met Jonathan at the welcome reception, and I was starstruck. And I said, I'm going to wear this gown. There's this story. This is my husband, you know, the fact he could get on an airplane and fly to Seattle. I mean, this was all a miracle. It was this is a huge event. It's like the Oscars of beauty pageants, and that's a lot for somebody with a traumatic brain injury. And he did amazing. I put him in a tuxedo. I mean, I really pushed it here, and I said, I hope I do your dress justice. And then when he saw me, he immediately came over to me at the reception hall on the red carpet, and I have his personal phone number. So he said, if you ever need a gown, if you ever want something special, here's my number. And I just can't say enough about how absolutely genuine and down to earth Jonathan Kane is, and how he took the time. He met my husband. He took those pictures, and he truly understood. He said, "That's why I designed, because these dresses should be special."
Right, I agree. And that's one thing I've noticed too, is that the majority of these designers really are trying to get to the heart of why a woman wears whatever their design they wear. So I found that when I interviewed MacDougall. I found that Kristen Regalado, Henry Meza, even Fernando Wong. Like, these are people that, I was like, if I could just wear one of their designs. Well, now I've worn their designs, and I'm just like, they're people. They're people trying to make sure that what I'm wearing tells my story in the best way possible. So it's pretty cool. All right. Kenzie says, oranges or apples, and why?
Oranges, blood oranges specifically.
Ooh.
And I just like oranges better. I cook with apples more, but if I want a snack, I'll eat an orange. And I think it's really good this time of year to ward off all the viruses.
Yeah, I was going to say, you said it was 20 below there?
It's 0, and it's a wind chill 15 to 20, yes. Yes.
That's bananas.
My poor little dog doesn't want to go outside. It's bad, yes.
Yeah, no, my dog doesn't want to go outside. Ooh, Jennifer, thanks for being here. Heels or flats?
Oh, heels every day.
Really?
Almost. Yeah, I go to court when I go to court, I dress up. Yeah,
well,
I love
you have to though. You can't really be too much of a schlub when you're at court. You kind of. But I would think. I mean, I always take flats with me and then put on the heels when I need to, and then go back to the flats. So
I do drive in flats because I don't want to. When you drive, you can mess your heels up. And I'm also, I'm a big Mark DeFang girl. I'm a spokesperson for him. And if you drive in crystal shoes, the crystals fall off. So
no, not good. Oh my gosh.
No.
I have because I broke my foot. I've broken my foot twice from endurance training stuff. So they now have me wearing these corrective flip-flops. They're flip-flops.
Oh.
But I wear them all the time, so they're not enough bling. So I ordered strips of bling in my sleep.
There you go.
But I put them on it, and then I was like, no, this looks so not like a Mark DeFang. It's like not even remote. Because that was what I was trying to go for. Jennifer says she has a hat that she loves. Oh, she loves heels. Best of both worlds but wedges. So because they're comfortable and they have length as well. So yes, I agree.
Really?
All right, cool beans. And then, what's another one? Ken's, we had some good ones. Oh, would you prefer to travel stateside, or would you prefer to go to another country?
Whew, that's a hard one. I would prefer to go to another country at this point. I've been to Europe twice, and I'd like to at least go back 1 or 2 more times.
So, England or France?
We've been to Paris. Chad took me there on our honeymoon. So probably England and Italy.
Ooh, England. I want to go to Iceland just because I keep seeing. I mean, we have a good friend of ours that's the director of Iceland Universe, but we have the screensaver on our TVs show backdrops of different countries when it's on, and just these amazing global pictures, and the ones that they're showing right now are I guess, winter based, and so they've been
Yeah.
showing these amazing shots of Iceland, and I'm like, ah, dude, I want to go.
Yeah, Iceland.
But it's cold.
It's cold. You
It's
could just come here to Iowa and it'd be like Iceland. So there you go.
it's 75 here. I looked it up when you were talking about it. I was like, oh my god. But that's winter for us. So that's cold. People
Oh,
wear people wear mittens and coats and scarves when it's 70 degrees here. I know.
they would die here. They would die. Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are snowbirds. I talked about snowbirds the other way. Kenzie went, what? And I was like, people from up north come down here during the winter so they don't have to deal with the winter. And then they go back to where they live when in the Midwest, because then it's warm or colder during the summer. So
That's right.
ooh, I like that one too. Jennifer says, beach trip or a cruise to Alaska.
I think I would like to go to Alaska. I've been to the beach, and I think a cruise in Alaska would be beautiful. Yes, especially in June. I know somebody who lives in Alaska, and it's beautiful in the summer there.
I think it would be so breathtaking to see. That's a lot of nature, though. I could only visit someplace like that. When I lived in Colorado, I didn't like it because I don't mind the cold, but that's a lot of nature.
It is a lot of nature.
That sounded so bad. I was like, yesterday I was wearing gloves because I was playing with mulch, and that was a lot of nature. And here is your title, and it's all about nature.
That's okay.
But it makes you feel. I mean, I know for you, gardening makes you feel better, right? I lost you. We're having a poor connection problem. Oh no. All right, guys, hold on one second. I'm going to try to do this, see if I can get her to connect again. I don't know if you guys can see me. Hopefully you guys can see and hear me. Let me see if I can get her to call. Let's see if we can call her back in. Thanks, guys, for being here, by the way. We appreciate it. Let's try this one more time, see if we can get this to work. You can see and hear me fine? Okay, thanks, Jennifer. I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me know. Thanks for participating. Thanks for being a crownie. We really appreciate it. We might have lost her. Oh, we got her. Yay! She's back. I need to help your community.
Sure. So the Green Ambassadors, what I do, and I've actually already started booking appearances and seminars for people. Have me come speak for everything from a volunteer seminar to a lot of church groups, a lot of garden clubs. I am the president of the Floyd Valley Garden Club. I do a lot with the Iowa State Master Gardeners Association, which is master gardeners throughout the state of Iowa. So what I will do, the first part of my project has always been and will continue to be to go out and educate about gardening. Not only about how you can garden, but the benefits of gardening, all the way from the health benefits of planting and getting in the mulch to the healthy food that you receive from it. If you have extra, how we have enough food in the United States. We do a really poor job of distributing it. When 1 in 5 children go hungry every night, that's unacceptable in America. So we have enough food. We just need to be able to distribute it. So I do a lot of garden education, as in how to garden, education about gardening and agriculture and the farm. Like I said, the farm to fork connection. I encourage go to your local's farmer market. Those are very big right now, and they're really up and coming. And so I do garden education, and then I also speak about gardening as therapy, and I do that to more health professionals. I've been invited to speak at the Iowa Brain Injury Conference, spring conference. Once again, I'll be when I'm at lobbying in Des Moines, I will also be doing some lobbying for the Iowa Brain Injury Association about gardening as therapy. So those will be our two major concentrations, not just around Iowa, but around the Midwest now. And I do have several master gardeners and several people, bless you.
Thank you.
From the Green Ambassadors. We have Green Ambassadors in 6 states. So I'll be visiting them and speaking, doing what I've done here in Iowa, but doing it on a much broader platform. I have family in Missouri outside of St. Louis, And Stark's Nursery is not just the oldest nursery in the United States, but one of the oldest businesses. There are over two.
I think we lost you again. Oh, we got you. I can hear you back. I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Okay, so Starks in Louisiana, Missouri, which is actually where my godparents live, is 200 years old. They've been in business 200 years in
Wow.
2016. So
Wow.
I was going to Starks. They actually invented and cross-pollinated and engineered some of the apples we all enjoy now. So those are things. It's fascinating. And one of the queens of England came there and tasted an apple, in 1934, and so it's fascinating how much local agricultural history is right here in the Midwest. So that's what I'll be doing, is I'll be going throughout the Midwest and spreading the message of not just gardening, but gardening education, and then gardening as therapy.
And Troy's still working with you, still supporting you and coaching you?
Yes, he is, absolutely, yes, and I do work with his pageant Miss Nationwide, which has their nationals in usually in the summer, July or August, in Omaha, Nebraska. And I'm his pageant consultant, his legal counsel, and risk manager.
That's so cool. All right, what would you like to tell everybody before we wrap this up? Because we've gone pretty good, even though we've had some lag. But I don't want to tempt the fates of the fate.
Okay, no. Well, one, I want to thank you for having me on, so I can spread the word about the new system that like I said, I'm over the moon, overjoyed to be a part of. And I'd like to tell the listeners that if they do have pageantry and an interest in agriculture, maybe they've been in FFA, maybe they've been in 4-H, maybe they've been involved in organizations with ranching, farming, any number of extension service. There's all sorts of those things all over the United States. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're male or female, we have tiny tots all the way up to mature women like myself. We would love for you to reach out to either myself or just we have several pages on Facebook, Mrs. Agriculture America. They could contact me. I would love to put you in contact with my director, Shannon, where she interviews people. And what I love about the system as well is that she interviews people, and if she sees that there is some potential, maybe they need to get a little more pageant experience. They have a lot of agriculture, or maybe vice versa. She still, if she feels that they would be a wonderful representative of our system, she gives them perhaps, they start at a local or a county title, and then she gives them resources and help to improve as pageant and title holders to get them ready for nationals. So we are still accepting folks. We have over 40 title holders, like I said, that range from very young to older, from men to women, and men, that's new. She's expanding that part of pageantry out. She believes men should be involved as well, and that we would love to have them building up to our first national pageant, and we'd love them to join the Mrs. Agriculture America family.
Awesome. Oh my goodness. And and honestly, you're such an inspiration. I mean, an hour went so fast. Like, I forgot, like, you have such a great story, and there's so much going on in your life, because it isn't just about pageantry. It's about, your voice and spreading your voice, and the story about what you've been through with you and your husband, and this journey through pageantry, which really, it would have been really easy for you to have stopped doing pageants, let alone just been frustrated and not sure what to do or where to go or how to deal with the situation with your husband. And you've both turned it into something that's become vibrant and changed, and not what you thought it was going to be, but clearly are living your best life, which is fantastic.
Well, thank you. And I also want to say that pageantry has given me a platform. I was never ashamed, and I never hid when Chad was injured. And obviously he went from a very hardy, go get him, hunting fisherman kind of guy, to somebody who couldn't even lift his head. And I think some people would hide that. And in the brain injury community, it seems like we take people that have been hurt and we lock them away. And I can tell you, I have a friend title holder from a system I was in, and they experienced a brain injury in their family, and it was after us, quite a bit, about a year after ours. And I never hid it. I never was ashamed of it. This is what happened. We're going to dig out of this hole. It's going to be okay. We're going to make this work. And she reached out to me and she said, we're going to talk about our child having this brain injury now. And I was ashamed, and you were never ashamed. And I'm like, you should never be ashamed. A life can change for anybody in an instant. And we need to be here to support people, and we need to be there for them in good and bad times. And we need to realize that tomorrow, tonight, this next minute is not promised. And I just learned to appreciate everything. Like I said, I appreciated he could go out and shovel. And so pageantry has given me that platform to tell people. I think it's great that we can all now, as pageant title holders, show everybody that we are not perfect. And life is not perfect. We don't look like this all the time.
Right. You froze again. Did I lose you?
Yeah,
I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah, life is not perfect. And I think it's great as pageant holders that we can be role models to tell people life isn't perfect, but you can sure make the best of what happens, and you can go on. And so I love that I get to tell our story. And I do have a publisher, and I am in the process of writing a book. And I want it to be a how-to manual, because nobody hands you a book when you join this club of trauma or a disaster. And I know that I'm in a unique position as a wife, a caregiver, and an attorney, that I figured these things out. And I want to be able to just say to somebody, I hate it when people would say to me, I'm sorry this happened to Chad. I know that sounds crazy, but after you hear I'm sorry like 3,000 times.
Oh, no, it annoys me to no end. When I tell people I had cancer, I go, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I've had it 3 times, and then I was hit by a truck. Come on.
And so, I always say to myself, if you don't like something, what are you going to do about it? So you know what I come up with now when something happens? And I reached out to a young lady that was shot in our community, and she survived, and I got her involved with Tiaras of Hope. But, when I went to her hospital bed and I knew her parents from college, I said, sweetheart, I'm not going to tell you I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you I'm here. How can I enable you? How can I empower you? How can I empower you to get over and through this challenge? And her mother said, oh my gosh, wasn't that a different approach? And I said, well, it's because I've been there and I lived it. So my goal ultimately through all of this is to show people, if I can do this, I can empower you.
Right. Life changes in an instant, and you never know what's going to happen. I lost her.
I'm back.
No, I can hear you. You're back. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right.
I empower people and help them reach their goals.
Right.
And whatever example I can give or help, I want to do that.
And you should. And I mean, that's really what, again, I say it all the time. We only see the negative stuff in pageants. We very rarely get to hear the stories that really change the face of your world. And you're having a longer, wider reach of what your story is and how you can change people. So we really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much. And send some of the stats up here.
But yeah, no, seriously, you can have as much. Well, and I don't mind having some of the cold. I would like it, but it's not going to happen. All right, my love. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. How can people find you?
Facebook, Rosanne Marie Plante, Mrs. Midwest Agriculture 2020 on Instagram, and rllaw96@gmail.com.
All right. Thanks, my love. Thanks for coming on. We so appreciate it. Congratulations on everything, but congratulations on finding a system that is really going to embrace everything that your whole platform is about. And the best of luck to you and Chad, because I know you're going to keep changing the world. And I want to hear more about the caucus, so keep us updated. Message me. Let me know what's going on.
Awesome. I will. Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye. All right, guys, that completes our show for the day. I really appreciate it for everybody that was here, hanging out, watching the show. Crownies everywhere, we appreciate you. Thank you for being part of this, because without you, we don't have a show. I mean, we talk to ourselves. I mean, we talk to each other, but not quite the same. Thanks, Rosanne, for coming on and sharing your very inspirational story. We really appreciate it. And if you want more information on Mrs. Agricultural America, you can go onto their Facebook page. With that being said, that is a wrap. If you haven't already, please make sure that you go, well, you like our Facebook page at Pageantry Now. You follow us on Pageantry Now at Instagram, or and you subscribe to us on YouTube. We've got different interviews all the time that are popping up in all of the different areas. Different information is shared to all the different platforms. So with that being said, that is a wrap. Congratulations to the Chiefs on going to the Super Bowl, and hopefully the 49ers will be meeting them there, or meeting them here in Miami. All right. Thanks, guys, everybody. We'll see you Tuesday night at 8 p.m. We have another guest on. So bring your friends and bring your questions. That's a wrap, everybody. Have a great night. Bye.